Start recording, start streaming. That's how we do this. Click the one blue button. Then I click the next blue button. The first blue button records the live stream. The second blue button starts the live stream. Yeah, I'm singing a made up song, I think. Let me make sure that this is actually working. I think it is. So, yep, there we go. Hey, good to see all of you. In the chat, no, that says, will there be a Q&A lesson tomorrow? Yes, but it will be slightly earlier than normal. So I think I normally do my Saturday live lessons at around 10 a.m. I'm hoping to do it outside, although I should check the weather because it says Saturday, 60% chance of showers, mainly cloudy, risk of thunderstorm in the afternoon. So maybe we can squeeze it in. It will be live. I will be live tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. And then I have a birthday party that I have to go to. So I think everything's working. Let me double check. I'm getting off track here. Okay, here we go. Wait, there's one other thing I'm supposed to click. Let me click that. Refresh. What stream do I want to monitor? That one. So you get a little more behind the scenes with this one this morning. Behind the scenes is when you see what happens or hear about what happens off camera. But here we go. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson, which I've titled Along the Road. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about a number of things that you will see when you walk along a road or drive along a road, or if you're riding in a car or bus on a road or street or highway, the things that you will see out of the window as you drive along. This lesson was inspired by a guardrail, and I'll tell you what a guardrail is in just a moment. But in this lesson, I have just over, I think I have 25 terms to teach you for things that you would see along the road, like a bike lane or a street sign or a roundabout or a shoulder or a median. Maybe some of these you will know, maybe some you won't. But welcome to this English lesson about things you will see along the road. So yes, if you're wondering, this lesson was inspired by, I'm pretty sure it was my short lesson. My short lesson where I was talking about a guardrail that was damaged. And then I thought, I've done lessons on cars and transportation and all of those things, but I wasn't sure I had done one about just the things that you see along the road. So I will admit, some of the things I will teach you today, you may have heard from me before in years past, and some will be brand new. In the chat, hello to Wanda, Tatyan, Aerosmith, Mr. Fisheri. Brent is also doing a live stream tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Might clash a bit since Bob is doing earlier than usual. I better coordinate that with Brent. Maybe if he's doing it earlier, he can hand off to me, or if I'm earlier, I can hand off to him. But yes, I will be going from 9:30 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Hello to Burgett, Aerosmith, Hanyu, Unsel, Unabi, Uliana. Let's get all the U's out of the way. Mode Eggs, know that. Freddie Wolf, Cy Sandy, Key Park. Let me scroll back a bit more. Uliana and Unabi and Unsel. Did I say hi to Unsel? They all joined right around the same time. I don't think they're the same person. I'm pretty sure after all these years, they are different people, but that's a little suspicious, especially Unabi and Uliana. They join almost at exactly the same time. Hi to Burgett, Fabian. Fabian was given a gifted membership, so that's very cool. And that's enough of the saying hi. Hey, welcome to this lesson. If you have a question during the lesson, please ask it using the form that Nightbot will share in the chat or that you can find in the description below. And I will pause every 10 minutes to answer all of your questions, and then I will continue with the lesson after that. As some of you may have heard, there will be a live Q&A lesson tomorrow. So if you have questions that are off topic, maybe save those for tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I guess it's Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I will be live, hopefully outside if it's not raining. What else was I going to say? This lesson will come out in a few days in a shorter version. So if you don't want to watch this big long one, if you're watching it on repeat, you can do that. Okay, let's start. Yes, is there anything else I'm supposed to do? I am recording. I am streaming. I did announce everything that was on my little note over there. I think I'm good. Here we go. Guardrail, a barrier along the side of a road that helps keep vehicles from leaving the roadway. They don't always have seagulls on them, but I thought this picture was kind of funny. But this metal structure is a guardrail. So there are posts in the ground, and then this large metal rail is attached to those posts, and we call this a guardrail. These are usually put in places where it would be more dangerous if a vehicle went off the road. So I think with this one, it might be close to a body of water. So they might have put a guardrail here so that if you lose control and you go off the road, you hit the guardrail instead of going into the body of water. Along our road, we have very large utility poles. And so there are guardrails there because they don't want people to accidentally go off the road. This is how people go off the road in my world. It's a bit like milking a cow. Never mind. This is a steering wheel, and then you lose control and you go off the road, and you hopefully gently hit the guardrail and it helps you. So a guardrail, a barrier along the side of a road that helps keep vehicles from leaving the roadway. Mile marker or distance marker. So this is kind of a funny one, but this is a sign beside a road that shows how far you have traveled or your location on the route. In Canada, we use kilometers. We have signs along the road in kilometers, usually along a highway, so a larger roadway. And I still call them mile markers. So even though we use kilometers, we talk about kilometers per hour. We talk about how many kilometers from here to Toronto. When I drive along a highway and I see a little sign like this and it says the number of kilometers, I still call it a mile marker, even though we don't use miles. The technical term would be distance marker, but I would say to Jen, what did the last mile marker say? And she might respond and say, I think it said 100 kilometers. So kind of a funny remnant of the fact that a remnant is something that's left over, but we used to use the imperial system in Ontario, Canada, and now we use the metric system. When I was a kid, the metric system was introduced. So mile marker or distance marker, a sign beside a road that shows how far you have traveled or your location on the route. You can also say route, by the way. I say route. Rest stop, rest area, a place beside a highway where travelers can stop to rest, eat, or use the washroom if you're in Canada. If you're in the United States, you can use the bathroom. We sometimes say use the facilities. That's another way to refer to a bathroom or washroom. Or you might say restroom. For me, I will tell you that personally, when I think about a rest stop or rest area, it's usually a lot more commercialized than this. It usually includes a gas station and a bunch of restaurants and those types of things, as well as bathrooms and washrooms and maybe lots of shady trees. Sometimes when I think rest stop or rest area, I think more, when I was driving in the United States, the rest stop and rest areas had a lot more trees. It was more like a park. Here in Canada, I believe a lot of them are actually more, when I say commercialized, it means there are a lot of stores and restaurants, more restaurants than stores. Roundabout, a circular intersection where vehicles travel around a central island before taking an exit. I'm pretty good at single lane roundabouts. I am not very good at 2-lane roundabouts. Roundabouts are relatively new here in Ontario, Canada. We've had them for 10 or 20 years, but they are growing in popularity for various reasons. They're apparently good for traffic flow and safety. But a roundabout is a circular intersection where vehicles, just looking at so I have this one coming up next. A circular intersection where vehicles travel around a central island. So the grass piece in the middle, the circle, we would call an island, and then before taking an exit. There is a town a little ways away from me where they have a lot of 2-lane roundabouts, and I'm still sometimes confused what lane I'm supposed to be in. when I'm in one of those roundabouts. An intersection, a place where two or more roads meet or cross. So this is the more traditional way for two roads to meet in my part of the world. And I think that we are going to have both roundabouts and intersections for quite a while, because I think it's hard to put a roundabout in where there is an intersection. So often an intersection will have stoplights. It might simply have a stop sign, but it's a place where two or more roads meet or cross each other. A median. So this might be a newer word for you. You might know it from the world of math, but in the world of things along the road, a median is the strip of land or barrier that separates traffic moving in opposite directions. So sometimes the lanes on a road are right beside each other and there's simply a yellow line. But sometimes, especially for large highways, they are separate. So the traffic going one direction is separated from the traffic going the other direction by what we call a median. So the median can simply be grass. So in this case, it looks like the median, there might even be a ditch in the middle to allow water to drain. But mostly it looks like grass. And obviously it's the time of year where it's not growing yet. So median, the strip of land or barrier that separates traffic moving in opposite directions. I'm going to go to questions. Hey, Brent. Brent is here. Brent, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow, but I'm doing it a bit earlier. I'm doing it from 9:30 to 10:30 because I have to go to a birthday party for Bib. No, it's not my birthday party. And someone mentioned you're doing a live stream tomorrow as well. So we should coordinate that. I don't mind if we overlap a bit, but it might be fun if you go earlier and I go at 9:30 or you go later. It's up to you. We can go at the same time as well. So anyways, what should I do here? I should do some questions. That's what I should do. I'm a little hyper today because I was up late because we had the first day of market yesterday. From Know That. Hello, Bob. What was the most annoying and time-consuming detour you've ever had to take? If there was one, a heartfelt thank you. Actually, the most annoying detour was the one I didn't take. I was on my way to pick up my son from university, and the GPS said I should get off the road and take a detour because there was an accident ahead. And I didn't listen to the GPS because traffic was flowing really, really well. I was like, I don't think this is accurate. And so instead of taking the detour, I stayed on the highway. And as I crested the next hill, traffic was backed up. And Jen and I were stuck in traffic for over an hour. It was stop and go for over an hour. So the most annoying detour was the one I didn't take. I should have taken that detour. Brent says, oh, I can go earlier. You have a much larger audience. I'll go from 8:30 to 9:30 and link to your live stream. That'd be great. I'll shout you out as well so people know. Maybe I'll put out a post earlier in the day saying double live stream today. Brent, 8:30 to 9:30 with a link to yours once it's scheduled. And then I'll go from 9:30 to 10:30. And then you can go from 10:30 till 2. I appreciate that, Brent. I think it's always best if we coordinate. I didn't mean to step into I know I'm stepping out of my normal time zone, but that's the way life is sometimes. And Mr. Fisher says, Bob doesn't listen to his GPS. I do now, all the time. Hey, I need to keep moving here and stop chatting so much. Unsel, although that's enjoyable too, isn't it? Unsel, hi Unsel. Hi, Mr. Bob. What is the most unique or unusual thing you have ever seen along the road while traveling? Thanks, you're awesome. A moose. Probably the most interesting thing I've ever seen has been in northern Ontario, where I saw a moose. This is many, many years ago. If you don't know what a moose is, I don't really have a picture here, but they're huge. So Ontario has 91,000 moose. Is that the plural of moose? Yeah. So I went to Algonquin Park with some friends when I was younger, and I saw a moose. It's a huge animal. Like, it's probably from the same family as a deer, but it's much larger. Like it's like not a deer, not an elk. It's a moose. You have to look up a picture. From Unsel, when you travel, do you prefer taking the highway to save time, or do you lean towards the scenic route? So as Jen and I get older, and if we have time, we do enjoy the scenic route. When we were younger and had a lot of little kids in the van, when we had all 5 kids living at home and they were all little, we would not go the scenic route. We would, if it was a 2-hour drive, we would try to get there as soon as possible. Manuel says roundabouts are growing as soon as petrol, gas, and down prices, surely. Yeah, roundabouts, it took me a while to get used to the roundabout. Timode, yes, when he goes to the hardware store, he'll refuse any kind of help. No, that says Bob thought he was better than Yeah, I did definitely learn the hard way. That's a good way to put it. The GPS was completely accurate. And then we were stuck in traffic, and it's northern Ontario. So there was no next place to get off for a very long time. Let's see here. Freddie says, hi, Brent. I noticed your lifetime changed. That's awesome. So there won't be any collision. No battle of the English YouTubers. Okay. I'm going to get back to the lesson. The queue has run out of questions, and I want to keep moving along because this is I think I talked too much during the first part. Not too much, but for too long. So here we go. Shoulder. The area beside the edge of a road where vehicles can stop in an emergency. So for me, if you see where the truck is driving, he would be in one of the lanes of the highway. If you look at the pavement between the grass and that lane, I would call that the shoulder. So in my definition, the shoulder is still part of the road. If you're on the grass, that's no longer the shoulder, in my opinion. And the road from the lane to the grass could also be gravel or stone, and I would still call that the shoulder of the road. So if you can imagine, this is a shoulder. When you have a road, the little strip on the edge of each side is called the shoulder. So shoulder, the area beside the edge of a road where vehicles can stop in an emergency. Curb. So if you're in the city, you might see this. A curb is the raised edge between a road and a sidewalk. Now, at market once, there was a lady with a walker with wheels on the bottom, and she drove off the curb and she fell down. And so I ran over to help her, and other people came as well. She wasn't injured, but a curb prevents vehicles from easily going off the road in a city. So it's to protect pedestrians, but it can also be dangerous if you can trip on the curb. You can not see the curb and step down. I've done that before. Or if you have a walker, you have to be cautious that you don't go over the edge. But curb, the raised edge between a road and a sidewalk, primarily designed to separate foot traffic from vehicle traffic. So it's very difficult for a vehicle, like you can drive up the curb, but it's very, very difficult. So curb, the raised edge between a road and a sidewalk. Bike lane, a section of a road set aside for people riding bicycles. These are becoming more popular in cities in Canada, and they're usually marked with paint, white paint, indicating that it is a bike lane. I'm just trying to think. I don't call it a bicycle lane. It's always a bike lane. It's kind of a weird word, bike and bicycle, because in the definition, a section of road set aside for people riding bicycles sounds normal. I could have said for people riding bikes, but a bike lane is a bike lane. So a section of a road set aside for people riding bicycles. Let me go back to this one. A big problem probably around the world right now is people riding really fast e-bikes in the bike lane. So some cities are starting to ban e-bikes in the bike lane if they go over 30 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but people quite often buy e-bikes which only go a certain speed, and then they remove the limiter so they can go faster, or they put a different motor in so they can go faster. So big problem in some cities. They're starting to ban e-bikes in the bike lane. Construction zone. A necessary evil. I'm not sure if you're aware of that English phrase. A necessary evil is a bad thing, but you need to do it because it's actually good. So I would say a construction zone is a necessary evil. On one hand, it's annoying as a driver because it slows you down. But on the other hand, eventually the road or whatever they're fixing will be better. So construction zone, an area where road work is being done and drivers must use extra caution. Must use extra caution. So caution is when you are careful. So construction zone. I'm sure this is true around the world. In Canada, the speed limit is much lower in a construction zone. And if you go over that speed limit, the fine, the amount of money you pay, is often double or triple. So sometimes you'll see a sign that says construction zone, reduced speed, 60 kilometers an hour, and then fines doubled if you're speeding. So you do not want to speed in a construction zone. You want to keep the workers safe. But a construction zone, an area where road work is being done and drivers must use caution. Traffic cone or pylon. A bright cone-shaped marker used to guide traffic or warn people of hazards. So this is a pretty standard pylon. It's orange, it's tapered. So it's like an upside down ice cream cone. It's a really large plastic upside down ice cream cone. That's kind of what it looks like. I wonder which came first, the pylon or the ice cream cone. They're the only two things I can think of right now that are that shape. But yes, so I guess it is a bright cone-shaped marker used to guide traffic or warn people of hazards. If you see a pylon or a traffic cone, you will want to slow down because it probably means you need to move over a lane. It might mean there's construction ahead or something else is happening. Pedestrian, a person who is walking, especially along roads or streets. So technically, anyone that is walking somewhere is a pedestrian. They are using their feet. They are using their feet. There's no word feet in the... Okay, that's not true. You could have feats of strength, but you only have 2 feet. So don't listen to the Bob who earlier pluralized it with an S. A pedestrian is someone who is using their feet as a mode of transportation. We often, though, only use the word when someone is walking along a road or along a sidewalk or somewhere close to where there's also traffic. You would say there's a lot of pedestrians. I don't know why. When I think of, like, when you go to the park and there's people walking, I wouldn't call them pedestrians. I would just say they're people walking. If I was at the mall, I wouldn't say the mall has a lot of pedestrians in it. That's not the proper use of the word. But if I say there were a lot of pedestrians, they closed part of the road and there were a lot of pedestrians that were walking along the road, then I would use the word. So I think it's important, the definition, a person who is walking, especially along roads or streets, a pedestrian. Crosswalk, a marked area where pedestrians can safely cross a road. So you can see this gentleman here walking. He is at a crosswalk marked with the white lines. Ooh, that's a little too big. And you can see there's actually a sign here, a street sign, which I'll talk about later in the lesson, where it's indicating that both cyclists and pedestrians are allowed to use this crosswalk. Often a crosswalk, or almost always a crosswalk, has sidewalks leading up to it. So you can see in this bottom corner, there's a bit of a sidewalk there, and then a street sign, and then a pedestrian using the crosswalk. So a crosswalk, a marked area where pedestrians can safely cross a road. Cyclist, A person who rides a bicycle. Let me make that a bit bigger. So I don't like to say words that don't exist, but I have heard someone use the word bicyclist. There is no word, at least not used commonly. We say bicycle, we say bike, and we say cyclist. Those are the common ways to refer to the machine with two wheels that you pedal and the person who rides it. So a cyclist is a person who rides a bicycle. Often, because I live in, I think, a pretty nice area, there's a lot of beautiful countryside around me, and the roads are actually very well built. On the weekend, there are a lot of cyclists. You need to be aware when you're driving a car or milking a cow. No, when you're driving a car, you need to be very aware on Saturday and Sunday mornings that there are going to be a lot of cyclists. And usually they're in large groups, so they're easy to see. And they're usually wearing some sort of reflective vest, which helps quite a bit as well. Jogger or runner, a person who runs for exercise or recreation. So interestingly enough, the term jogger is from when someone goes for a jog. I use the word jogger still, and I use the word runner, but I don't use the verb to jog anymore. Like I would say something like this to Jen. Oh yeah, there was a jogger running along the road. More often, I think I just say runner. There were a couple runners on the road today, exercising. So a jogger is a person who runs for exercise or recreation. And probably more commonly, I would use the word runner now. Yeah, but the verb to jog, I think, reminds me of the 70s. And there might be people that still use that verb quite a bit. But for me, I say runner and to run more often. Street sign. A sign that gives information, directions, or rules for people using the road. So a street sign might say stop. A street sign might say speed limit 100 kilometers per hour. By the way, when I talk about speed, I say 100 kilometers per hour, but I also say 100 kilometers an hour. And I might even say 100 kilometers an hour. Like the most informal, fastest way to talk about speed is that way. He was going 100 kilometers an hour. She was doing 60 miles an hour. So you can use the verb to do as well. How fast was he going? Oh, he must have been doing 150 kilometers an hour. That is the everyday way of expressing speed. So anyways, a street sign might tell you how far it is to the nearest town. A street sign might tell you that there is a gas station close by or a hospital or an airport, but they will be on a pole, they will be along the road, and they will be brightly colored so they are easy to read. Hey, I'm going to jump to questions. It's a little bit early, but we're going to do members only chat. And I am going to give away another membership. I did one earlier before the live stream started, but let me explain exactly what is happening here. First of all, this is members only chat time. I will answer questions from the queue as well as questions directly from the chat from members. If you're wondering, who are the members? They are the people who have their names in green. Many of them have been members for years, and I very much appreciate that. And they get their name in green during a live stream. They get a little crown beside their name. Some of them have been 6-month or more members, which is awesome. You get a lesson idea package, let's call it that, on Mondays every week. And you get an extra lesson on Wednesdays called Wednesdays with Bob. Now, I said every Monday, every Wednesday. It's more like 45 times a year. There are weeks where I don't do it. A couple weeks ago, I was a little bit busy. But generally, if you are a member, you will get those perks. So I am going to do another member gift. I'll do a couple tomorrow as well. Maybe I'll do a 5-pack tomorrow. So someone in a moment is going to be gifted a membership. So what does it say here? Petrong has just gotten a gift membership, and I know Fabian got one earlier. If you go to the posts section of this YouTube channel, you will now see all of the member posts. So there you go. Congratulations. And thank you once again to all of you who are members. If you're interested in becoming a member, there is a join button somewhere. It might say subscribe plus, and you can find more information there. So in the chat, we have Fabian, new member. As a teacher, cyclist, and also a civil engineer, I would like to say thanks to your teacher, Bob. These lessons are helpful for professionals like me. Thank you once again. Well, you're going to really enjoy culvert and grate and storm drain. There's a few really good ones coming up still, very specific. Let me have a sip of water. Know that. Hey, Bob. What are you up to today? Got anything special on your to-do list, whether at school or privately? So I have a lot of schoolwork to catch up on. School ends in a week, and I'm a little behind on some things. So I'm actually planning to do quite a bit of work today at work, but I'm also planning to do some work over the weekend. And I do have a birthday party for a family member tomorrow that I have to go to as well. So that's the plan for the weekend. And then I do have to make a little English lesson. I think I might tie it into, I might ask a few questions about the World Cup. We'll see, starting soon. Let's see. So that was Fabian. Know that. Thanks for the question, Fabian. Thanks for the question. Know that. Mr. Fischeri says to Fabian, do you teach civil engineering? Oh, very, very good question. Mode says, hi, Mr. Bob. Do you not use the word bikers for cyclists? No. So bikers drive motorcycles. So it's a good distinction here. Great question. If I'm driving along the road and let's say I get home and I say to Jen, there was a group of bikers in front of me on the way home. She will immediately in her mind think motorcycle. So in North America, at least, my understanding is that when you say bikers, you're talking about, like, it can mean cyclists, but that's not what immediately comes to mind for me. On Friday the 13th, every Friday the 13th, bikers go to a city called Port Dover, I think it is, to commemorate something. And when I say bikers, I think motorcycles. So I don't know, Brent can maybe, if Brent's still here, he could comment on that. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow as well. But if I say cyclists, they're on bicycles. If I say bikers, in my mind, I picture motorcycles. Let's see here. Oh, Pak Charong sent a gift membership. Very cool. Who got it? Did we see who got? I didn't see who got it, but let me scroll back here. Maybe that will show up. Oh, received. Oh, my bad. Pak Charong received the gift membership from me. I'm losing track of my my own gifting here. So there we go. Congratulations. You have a gift membership. Okay, civil engineering, bikers, know that. Speaking of roundabouts, Bob, do you know how many roundabouts are in the town closest to you? I think there's two, one at each end of the town. I don't go to the other end very often. I usually go the other way. But yes, I believe there are two. And I didn't know they're built. The center has what's called a truck apron. So transport trucks, when they go around, the trailer can go on it. Mr. Fischeri says, oh, nice. I studied civil engineering. The lesson is up your alley, I bet. Yes, definitely. Freddie, Bob, I noticed that the numbers on the kilometer stone, pardon, the milestone, are under the other. Is that the way? Because it's easier to read instead of lined up numbers. Pourquoi sinon? I don't know why, but often mile markers or distance markers will show the numbers vertically. That looked completely normal to me. So it must be fairly normal in my part of the world. Mark says, I want to say hello. I have no question. Little correction there. I'm happy to see you live today. Well, good to have you here. Let's see here. Fabian and Mr. Fischeri having a conversation. Modags, how do you describe a road that has a lot of turns? A winding road or a curved road? A winding road. So you might say, well, the road along the sea, it's a winding road. Like it winds along the coast. Wouldn't say curved or curvy. No. Windy or winding. Windy road? Winding road. You can use both. Like a windy road. That might be informal and incorrect. I think winding sounds more correct. Windy ends with a Y. But yeah, a windy road, a windy path. A winding road, a winding path. Yes. Cy Sandy. Hi, Bob. How do you say the plastic person, usually in a yellow coat, waving both his hands to warn people not getting close when there is construction on the road? Thank you. Oh, do you mean we call them the sign person? Like the person that stands with the slow stop, slow. I think there is an official name for it. Let me try to look that up. Name of sign person at road work. Traffic control. Oh, a flagger. Yes. Okay, I should have known that. So when you have someone by a construction zone and they have a sign that says stop, and when they flip it, it says slow. At least that's what it says in my part of the world. We call that person a flagger or a traffic control person. Or you saw me describe them as the sign person. That would be the informal, but flagger. Yes, that would be the word. Okay. Let's see here. Know that in case you're allowed to spill the beans regarding the first market of the year, how was it? I hope it went well for you. It was really busy, and neither Jen or I recorded any video. So Jen doesn't have any video for her video this week. So that will have to wait till next week. But it went well. Very well. Bridget, Bob, I often saw signs, no shoulder ahead, and didn't know what's the meaning. But now, thanks to your lesson, I do from now on. Thank you. Yes, sometimes the road, there's no shoulder. Or it might say narrow shoulders, where the shoulder is very, very narrow. So now you know. Brent says, I'm still here. Totally agree. Biker bar too. Yeah, so biker, like I want to say the meaning of biker is someone driving a motorcycle, but it's more the connotation. I think that's the right word. Like it's not written in stone that a biker is someone driving a motorcycle instead of a bicycle, but it's kind of understood. Biker bar, bike gang, all of those things refer to motorcycle. Mr. Fisheri says, flagman, flagman, flagger. There we go. Know that. Just out of curiosity, Bob, how is your little solar panel project doing? I'd guess pretty well with all the sun you've been getting lately. Yes, much better. I haven't had time to put it together more permanently. I actually spent a week balancing the internal cells of my batteries. So there's 4 batteries inside the battery, and it takes a little while to get them all balanced. Mode says, and before I forget, could you also please pass along my well wishes to Bib for his birthday? Thanks. Happy birthday, Bib. I think Bib is going to live on for sure. Ralph has gifted memberships. Oh, wait. Fabian says flagman or flag person could be used. I think flagger is now the term we've used. We probably used flagman, like flagman 10 or 20 years ago, but flagger covers both men and women. So we often do that now, like police officer, firefighter, flagger. We've removed and just come up with a term that handles both situations. Ralph, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships to Geraldo, Nahung, Philip, Jackie, Mutia. I was going to say Freddie Wolf, but not Freddie. And Geraldo, Hung, Philip, Jackie, Mutia. So 5 gift memberships from Ralph. Thank you, Ralph, for your generosity. If you just received a gift membership, you can now visit the posts section of this YouTube channel, and you will see all of the members only posts that are there. And if you keep scrolling, there's a lot. Freddie Wolf says, I noticed that the road signs in Quebec are a bit different than the other Canadian provinces. They're mostly written in French. Oui. À Québec, il faut écrire les panneaux en français. You have to, it's the law in Quebec. All street signs have to be in French. That's the law. So when you're in Quebec, you will see French street signs. C'est la loi, les règles. I'm not sure which word I would use there. But yes, you are correct, Freddie. Okay, let me turn off members only chat. And we will continue with the lesson in a bit, but I will just check to see. Oh, there are no more questions. Maybe the form is broken. I don't know. I thought there would be questions in the queue, but there aren't. So we will continue with the lesson. Mode has asked for Nightbot to put the link there. So if you do have a question, go ahead and ask it. I'm going to have a sip of water. I'm also going to say, if you're one of the 170 people watching, Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. And we will continue. Fabian says, yep, the form is broken. Is it broken? Oh, just a sec here. There are many more questions in there, but my form thingamabooper is not, that's not a real word, by the way. Okay, interesting. That's not good. My software that reads the form responses is not actually reading them. So let me try something here. Sorry to troubleshoot while you're watching. We'll fire this up again. I'll hit refresh. I will go here. I will go here. You don't actually know what I'm doing, but I'm just talking because if I stop talking, then people might not realize the live stream is still happening. Let's see here. Oh, there are lots of questions in the forum. It just stopped working. Okay. Unsel, when you travel or you lean scenic route. There we go. Okay. Questions. What kind of landscape do you enjoy driving through the most? And do you prefer being behind the wheel or just riding along? Thanks. I prefer driving, and I like driving where everything is beautiful to look at. I do like looking at the scenery. That is enjoyable for me. From Judith. Hi, Bob. What is the name of that roadblock which has a slight curve and looks like a small wall? Thank you. We might call that an embankment, where the road, the side of the road is built up, but it's kind of steep. But the small wall we would call a retaining wall. So a retaining wall, let me put that in the chat. Retaining, ooh, that's not, my keys, my fingers were on the retaining wall. A retaining wall is a wall built to hold back the earth. Okay, let me do a couple more questions and then we will get back to the lesson. Judith. Hi, Bob. What is the most beautiful thing along the road you have ever noticed? Thank you. I can't think of the most beautiful thing, but there is a place in Canada that has built a large apple. It's probably the size of my barn. And there's another place in Ontario that has a large statue of an elephant for some reason. So that's very cool. Those are the two things I can think of immediately. From Fabian. As a civil engineer, this is an amazing, magnificent, glorious, spectacular, and so on lesson. Thousands of thanks, dear amazing teacher Bob. So when you say something is so on, it means it's like, it's really good. It's on topic. It's on. It's good. So thank you for that compliment. You are very welcome. I'm enjoying this lesson. Okay, let me have a sip of water and we will finish off the formal part of the lesson. And then I will continue. Sorry, I'm reading Mode's thing. Yeah, I just tested it. I think the problem is on your end. Real Mode says, yeah, thanks Mode for testing that. I just had to refresh my link. I have so the form goes to a Google spreadsheet, and then I have an API that can read the spreadsheet, but somehow that API stopped working. A little bit too technical for everybody there, probably. Sorry about that. Overpass and underpass. Would you be surprised if I told you that an overpass and an underpass are the same thing? It just depends where you are when you are driving. So an overpass is a bridge that carries a road over another road, railway, or path. An underpass is a road, path, or tunnel that goes underneath another road or railway. But here's the sneaky part. If you're driving on top of this, it's an overpass. If you're driving below, it's an underpass. So I guess it isn't quite the same thing. The overpass is this top part. The underpass then is the underneath part. But again, depending on where you are with your vehicle, you are either on the overpass or you're going through the underpass. So an overpass, a bridge that carries a road over another road, railway, or path. Underpass, a road, path, or tunnel that goes underneath another road or railway. Sidewalk, a paved path beside a road where people can walk safely. Now, I kind of disagree with the definition I wrote. sorry. Generally, sidewalks aren't paved. They're usually made of concrete. So they pour concrete to make a sidewalk. So the distinction here is, here we have a paved road. It's made of asphalt, and we have a concrete sidewalk. So I would say this definition up here is a little bit wrong. It should say a concrete path beside a road where people can walk safely. So again, if you're a civil engineer, that's the distinction. The road is paved. They use asphalt to make a paved road, and the sidewalk is made of concrete. But anyways, it's a place where people can walk safely. And if you look closely, there's a curb. And if you look at the two people walking to their right, you'll see a couple grates or storm drains, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Power lines, wires that carry electricity from one place to another. There are power lines everywhere in the world. But I did hear in some countries, they bury their power lines, or they try to bury them. I wish we did that more in Canada, but I think the distances are too great. It would be very expensive to bury all of our power lines. But power lines, wires that carry electricity from one place to another. Grate or storm drain, a metal cover with openings that allows water to drain while blocking large objects. So very often when you build roads and when you have sidewalks and you have curbs, when it rains, the water needs to go somewhere. Otherwise, it would just fill up. And so you need to have storm drains or grates so the water can go in. So the distinction here is the large metal thing here is a grate. That's a general term for a large piece of metal with holes in it so water can get through, or air. A storm drain specifically is something you will see on a street to drain water away when it rains or when the snow melts or anything else. So grate or storm drain, a metal cover with openings that allows water to drain while blocking large objects, because you don't want sticks and branches and stuff to go down your storm drain. Culvert, a pipe or tunnel that carries water under a road or pathway. So you'll see here, there is a culvert. There's a culvert here. This is because traffic needs to go one way, but water also needs to flow. And you don't want water to go over a road, because eventually the road will be destroyed by the water. You might have what's called a washout. And so you put a culvert. A culvert is a long pipe that carries water under a road or pathway. So you can find culverts everywhere. I have a culvert under the end of my driveway because the water needs to flow along in the ditch. And so you have to have a culvert there so that it can get under your driveway. So culvert, a pipe or tunnel that carries water under a road or pathway. And then a ditch, a long, narrow channel dug beside a road to carry away water. So again, I showed you the culvert here probably leads to a ditch. And this is again for rainwater mostly, or for melting snow. You need the water to be able to go somewhere. You can't just have water remain on the road or on the sidewalk. You need it to drain. And so you have storm drains, you have culverts, you have ditches, all designed so that water can move away from the road. Manhole or maintenance hole. So this is one of the things where in our attempt to remove the word man from a lot of words, like firemen, policemen, all of those kinds of things, this one does remain. Technically, this is called a maintenance hole, a covered opening that provides access to underground pipes or utilities. No one calls it a maintenance hole. At least no one I talk to calls it a maintenance hole. If you are working for the government, you will probably call this a maintenance hole. But in my world, everyone calls it a manhole. It's a manhole. And we also, the top part, we sometimes call a manhole cover. So you can kind of use both terms. But yes, this is one of the ones that has, I guess, survived because it's just simpler to say. It's a manhole cover. A covered opening that provides access to underground pipes or utilities. Speed bump, a raised section of road designed to make drivers slow down. These are really annoying, but they work. If you live in a small subdivision, if you live in a residential area and you don't want people speeding, because there's lots of pedestrians and maybe kids playing outside and pets, so you want people to drive slowly and with caution, the city might install a speed bump or more. They might install speed bumps all through your subdivision or residential area. So this is a raised section of road designed to make drivers slow down. There's usually signs that say speed bump ahead. And then if you hit the speed bump going slow, it's pretty gentle. If you hit it fast, it's a little bit, well, it can even damage your car if you hit it too quickly. But speed bump, a raised section of road designed to make drivers slow down. This one looks like it's made of plastic. Sometimes the speed bump is actually made of pavement. Like they've actually put a paved section of the road that's raised up to make people bounce out of their seats a little bit. Hey, that's the end of the formal part of the lesson. Let me see in the chat here. Mode, if it's for pedestrians, would it still be called an overpass? Sorry, I said no more questions. That's a good question. We might just call it a pedestrian walkway, a raised walkway. We would probably use the term walkway. So if you had like a bridge or something that looks like an overpass and it's for pedestrians, we would probably call it a raised walkway or a walkway. Let me see here. I'm just scrolling back in the chat. I'll answer more questions in a moment as well from the forum. So give me a second here. Mr. Fisher says, overpass is the general term, so that can include pedestrians too. Yeah, it's only pedestrian. We say pedestrian bridge or footbridge. Oh, footbridge is a good one, or pedestrian bridge as well. And flyovers is very much UK. Yeah, I'm familiar with the term, but here a flyover is when the airplane flies over your farm. That's a flyover. Little conversations. There are some roads that need a box culvert, yes, where they attach more than one culvert together. Dull as ditch water says know that. Yes, there's a few phrases about ditches in English. Dull as ditch water. If someone isn't very good at school, they might insultingly say, you need to do better in class because you don't want to be a ditch digger. Like a ditch digger is kind of considered a very low form. A speed bump is a bit bumpy. Yes. Gendarme couché. Oh, in French they call it a policeman laying on the road. Yeah, that's funny. Mark says you're a great teacher. Thank you. Thanks. I hope pedestrian bridge is the most common, simple, and descriptive. I've never heard flyover, and I don't like it. Kind of an oxymoron. Freddie, Bob, don't you have overpasses for the animals? We are not as advanced as everyone in Europe. We, at this point, do not yet have those. Marketing specialist says, hey, Bob, subscribe to you after just watching one video. You're the greatest teacher. Well, thank you. You are very welcome. Okay, let me do the rest of the questions here. Ahmad, is there really a plan to learn English? Yes, you need to make a plan. You can search for my video called The Best Way to Learn English, and you can come back tomorrow and I will explain more and more about how to do that. Sergey, if you're in a car accident, do you need to call the police? Yeah, this is a weird one. It's probably the same around the world because you have to know how much damage there is. When to call the police for a car accident. So first of all, if anyone is injured, you need to call the police. But here is the official rule. In Ontario, Canada, if there's any personal injury, you must call the police, or if the damage exceeds $5,000. And that's where people get confused because no one knows. Like if I drive into another car, I don't know how much it costs to fix. So the general rule is pretty much any damage to a car is going to be a few $1,000s. So number one, if anyone's injured, you must call the police. Number two, if the damage is over $5,000, you need to call the police. Unabi, on the video, you've mentioned as inspiration for the lesson, a guardrail. I've noticed road sign with French inscription on it. Are they pretty common in your neighborhood? No, There is an area close to where I live where there are a lot of French speaking people, and the street signs are still in French. But other than that, no. From Sergey, do you have toll roads in Canada? Yes. In Ontario, Canada, in my province, we have what are called the 400 series highways. Highway 401, 401. We don't say the 100 part. 402, 401, 403. And there's a highway called the 407, which is a toll road. So you automatically, when you drive onto it, a picture of your license plate is taken. And when you exit, another picture is taken and you are sent a bill. I paused there because I said picture and then I said picture. So I think sometimes we do say the C, like it takes a picture and then you're sent a picture. I don't know if you can hear the difference there, but here we go. Okay. From Unsel, Canadians are known for being polite, but what about in a traffic jam? Is road rage common there? Thanks. Yes. Road rage is true in every part of the world, no matter how nice the citizens are. Definitely. Peter says, hi, Mr. Wise Teacher. Would you prefer to travel by car or airplane? For me, I would prefer to travel by car. Last April, I traveled 4 countries in Africa and I saw wildlife. It depends. So here's the scenario. Many Canadians go south in the winter, especially retired Canadians. They go to Florida or they go to Alabama. They go somewhere warm. So the conversation is always, when Jen and I are older and retired, would we fly to Florida every winter for a holiday or would we drive? I think I would fly. It's about I think it's a 25 or 30 hour drive. So I think I would prefer flying. Fabian, the cyclist. Is there a law in Canada in which every road in the cities must have sidewalks? I don't know. I just know that in most towns and cities, there are sidewalks. So there must be a law. Yes, I'm going to say I think there are laws for that. From second mode, I'll be in Canada this summer with my kids. Is Toronto to Thunder Bay road trip doable or crazy? Google says 18 hours each way, but not much about road quality. It's doable. It's very remote. There's not a lot to see along the way except for rocks. You might see some moose. And I would also say at that time of the year, there's going to be a lot of mosquitoes and black flies. Mosquitoes and black flies in Thunder Bay. It says black flies are active from mid-May through June and mosquitoes peak from late May into August. So there you go. So it's doable. I've never done it. Let's see here. Thunder. I'm just Google mapping it for a sec. Directions. Because we have the Trans-Canada Highway. Like there's a highway that goes all the way across Canada. And I think you end up taking part of the Oh, that is remote. Yeah, you're going through Elliott Lake and Wawa and yeah. Okay, enjoy your time. And you will see a lot of what we call the Canadian Shield, which is basically a whole lot of rocks that you will see along the way. And you won't have very good cell coverage. Like your cell phone won't work very much. From Judith, hi Bob, have you ever had a date along the road? Thank you. Have a nice weekend. I have gone for a picnic with Jen. Sometimes you can stop at a rest area and do that. That would be how I would answer that. Zeshi, sir, let me explain the pronunciation of wood versus wood and head versus had. So wood and wood are the same. I'm going to build something out of wood. He would like to get a different job. But your next two words, head and like I had something, those are pronounced differently. So he has a good head on his shoulders, which means he's smart or has common sense. Or he had a problem with his neighbor. So slightly different pronunciations. This is mode testing, saying no more questions. And then he still had a question. Just wanted to see if it's still working. Thanks for testing that. From Unsel, is there a specific phrase for a long, boring stretch of road where there is nothing to see? Thanks, you're awesome, bye. I don't think so. You would just say it's boring. a long, boring stretch of road is probably the phrase you would use. And then from Gata, hello, Bob. Thank you for a great topic. It's a little fix there. Are there any slang words for the place where pedestrians can cross the road? E.g., in my native language, we call it zebra. No, we call it a crosswalk. We call it a pedestrian crossing. We call it a crossing, but crosswalk is probably the most common that I can think of. Hey, that's all the questions from the forum. It's been exactly 1 hour and 20 seconds since I pushed the start button. So we're done. I'm going to say bye real quick. Road rage is common everywhere. Yes, for sure. 18-hour road trip. That's a long trip, very long trip. Okay. Bye, everybody. I do need to go to work. I do need to get a bunch of stuff done today. Thanks for watching. 2 reminders. Number 1, there will be a live stream tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will schedule that right after this lesson, so you can click the notify. I will hopefully be outside if it's not raining. If it is, that's just the way it goes. I'll be inside. And then this lesson, a shorter version, will come out in a couple days. That makes it easier for you to just listen to or watch again. It will have fairly accurate AI generated subtitles, so that can be helpful as well if there are sections that you didn't understand. And I do encourage you to always watch a lesson twice, or watch it once and then listen to it later at least one more time. Repetition is boring. Repetition is like a long, boring road, but it does help you remember things. So my recommendation, watch the live stream once, listen to it again later while you're doing something else. I think that's just wise to do that. Anyways, see you tomorrow and have a good day. Bye. Thanks for watching.